What is up, you guys? I hope you're doing well. We are here for our weekly alchemy message where we are unpacking the work for this week's lessons. My poison ivy is starting to get a little bit better. It's shrinking. It was like these huge welts, and I thought I would never go back to normal. So it's happening. Yay. But yeah, just so you know what's going on with my arm. And yeah, so let's get into the reading. I'm going to show you guys the cards, and then I've got a little audio for you to listen to, and you can see the spread, and then we're going to come back after that. So out of the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck, we have Autumn. On a literal sense, I'm like yearning for fall, but I love summer so much. So this time of year I love it because I'm like, oh, I love summer so much, and then I'm like, oh, fall's coming and I want both of them to last forever. Okay, fall, we have autumn, we have the androgyny coming back again. We had this recently, and we have sugar. Underneath autumn, we have the devil. Underneath androgyny, we have the Queen of Pentacles. And underneath sugar, we have the King of Wands. So in the image of the spread, I would love for you to take note of the characters on the bottom row. The Queen of Pentacles is like looking back behind her as she has come through an initiation and has bested the devil. She's looking back, almost remembering and reminiscing and reflecting on what she's just come through. The King of Wands is moving forward boldly into the unknown, into the darkness. He's going to be the light that lights up the darkness, and there's uncertainty ahead, and there's no guarantees, but he is on fire for his cause, walking into uncertainty, but armed with the power and the protection and the favor of the Creator. Okay, so I'm going to pause this video and you're going to go straight into the audio, and then I'm going to come right back. Sit tight. We are entering a time of year that takes us all the way back into the realm of the Garden of Eden, back to the fall of mankind, when Adam, who is all of the souls of mankind, ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, thereby introducing pain, death, and suffering into this world by drawing a curtain of separation and forgetfulness of our direct connection and unity with the Creator. This tore us away from perfect union with the light by introducing the ego into our mind and polluting our consciousness. Since the light does not contain ego, we broke affinity from the Creator, and a barrier was created between our soul and our spirit. The image of oil and water comes to mind. The two cannot mix. From that moment, our paradise was expelled out of the upper realms into a dense and fallen material dimension. Our collective human work is to incarnate here as humans and correct the sin of Adam by dismantling, healing, and correcting the damage and defilement caused by darkness that is channeled and manifested through our ego. The lunar month of Virgo, the month of Elul, is a month where we take a good hard look at the ways the opponent has used our egoic consciousness to steer us off path. We find these traps and viruses in our operating systems and dismantle them. the more we can bring the opposing forces and vices and virtues within ourselves into balance and perfection, the more we remember our wholeness and come back into moments of union with the Creator. It is in these moments of union that we are given the grace and the strength we need to heal, forgive, and elevate our consciousness and become more unconditionally loving and sharing. We turn our bitterness into sweetness and our darkness into light. Okay, so getting, just to give us some bearings about where we are in this point of the year, we are approaching fall, and fall is a very, very powerful time for the human soul. The veil is drawing thin. We have the month of Elul, which is the lunar month of Virgo, leading up to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. And so what the month of Elul is, or the month of Virgo, is the month of Teshuvah, where we go into inner reflection and we think back on the year of things that we wish we'd done differently, wish we'd done better, ways we've been drawn off the path. And then we atone for those things. We own what we've done. We make that, we make good where we can. We express our apology, our sorrow about whatever. We make things right where we can. We show repentance. And the most important thing that we do is we correct for our mistake. We course correct. We change our consciousness and we change our behavior and we change our approach moving forward. So wherever we've gone off path from our purpose, right? Wherever we've gone off path from our true authentic self, right? The way that we are ourselves is unique. Each of us have a unique soul and a unique mission in this life. And we all have family history and generational things that get passed down. And it's like we're supposed to break generational curses. So there might be things that are built into our uniqueness that make us uniquely qualified and able to break that curse. Like, for instance, my sister is the first person in our family that we know of, going back as far as I know our family to have any history. You know what I mean? Like, the farthest back in our family history, my sister's the first person who has lived openly gay and has had a legal gay marriage. Like, that's huge. That changes everything for all the gay people in our bloodline that couldn't live their truth and their life, right? They couldn't express their true self. So, maybe you're an artist who came from parents who were practical, and then their parents were practical, and they disagreed with doing something that didn't seem, practical, that seemed flighty. And so maybe it's your mission in this world to break that cycle and be able to follow your true calling, if that's what it is. Right? Maybe, maybe your parents and generations before were into the arts and they tried it themselves, but they tried and failed. And then they had this like wound and trauma around the financial burden that incurred afterwards and the perceived failure and the humiliation of it all. And then now you feel like you can't succeed beyond them, right? So we're breaking curses, we're breaking generational curses, we're healing the sins of the generation. We are getting back on track and looking into ourselves and saying, okay, what was the work that I've wanted to do this year on myself? What have I been trying to heal? We're very in touch with our stuff on this channel, in this community, and we're always working with it. We're always paying attention to these big holidays that come up that have these openings in these cosmic windows of time and space that allow for this light to come in and help us along in this process. So during the fall, the high holy holidays are like the Super Bowl of soul renewal and rebirth. So basically, the month of Virgo is like, okay, I am wanting to give one big last push and hoorah for my spiritual growth and for my soul correction for this year. And then we move into, at the end of the month of Virgo, Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah is the feast where it's the head of the year. It's the spiritual new year. And that's when our debts are supposedly forgiven and washed away, and then our blessings for the year are decided. The edict over what our year is going to be like is decided in the blowing of the shofar. And so what we bring to the table, makes a difference. Our earnestness, our focus, our effort that we've made throughout the year, but also in this last very powerful month. So we do what we can. And so then we basically wipe the slate clean over Rosh Hashanah. And then the next week, or like 10 days later, we have, I guess it's the rest of the moon cycle. Then we have, or not the rest of the moon cycle. So we go from like the new moon, and I think that Yom Kippur might be at the full moon. Or it's 10 days. I can't remember exactly. So about 10 days later, we'll have Yom Kippur, which is the fast where we restrict the body consciousness and we restrict from food, water, or liquids, brushing our teeth, cleaning ourselves, using lotions or oils or perfumes, wearing leather, no sex. We're sustaining from all the pleasures of the body that make us comfortable on a daily basis. And what happens then is, so on Rosh Hashanah, we wipe our slate clean and our soul starts this journey into the upper realms where it is going through like an upgrade system. Our hardware is getting cleansed and purged, new wiring is going in, and we are being prepared to receive a new soul. So during that week, we are challenged in the dimensions of our soul, preparing us to be able to basically put the wiring in for all of those dimensions during those 10 days. And then Yom Kippur comes and we get our new soul. We have a fresh, dry clean soul ready to go. And then what happens after that is then we go through the cycle again, and we are challenged and tested over the next 10 days of Sukkot, where the light then is entering our soul again. And so each dimension is highlighted in its own particular unique frequency. And so that comes in through that week, and then we basically fill up our soul and get all of the bonus juice and blessings and miracle juice for the year. And basically we fill our battery tank, and then that sends us into the new year and the new cycle. So here we are. There's also two new moons in Virgo in this month, which is interesting. It's called a black moon when that happens. And it happens, I think, every 3 years. Now, there was one more thing that was significant. Oh, eclipse season. And we're also going into eclipse season. So eclipse season is like the car wash of our life, right? We go in, it vacuums out anything that doesn't belong, washes us off, sends everything through, cleans everything out in a big, windstorm. So it's sort of like spiritual hurricane. Comes in, blows through, it brings some chaos and some upheaval. And then once it passes, it's like, okay, where are we at now? The point of eclipse season is to basically vacuum up or siphon away anything that is not truly in our highest good, anything that's not helping us in our soul's becoming, anything that is not elevating us. It is like anything that's ready to be shed and ready to go. And if you're clinging on to it, eclipses are going to take it from you by force. So That's why they can sometimes be kind of disruptive or seem to have some turbulence. It can be turbulent. Okay, so what is Rosh Hashanah? What are we celebrating? It's the spiritual new year, but why? So on Rosh Hashanah, that is the birthday of all the souls of mankind. It is on Rosh Hashanah that we celebrate the creation of Adam Kadmon. Adam being Adam of the Garden of Eden. That is the seed soul of all the human beings that have ever lived. We have all come out of that original source soul. So we have here autumn. What do we also call autumn? Fall. And what do we see here? A fruit tree. A fruit tree with golden pearls. And what is this? This is a little like Leo symbol, but it almost looks like a little snake. And then we have the devil. The devil. What is this reminding us of? The Garden of Eden, right? So Rosh Hashanah takes us back to the Garden of Eden. And it takes us back to the fall of mankind. Now, the fall of Adam, basically what happened was before Adam and Eve ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve, they weren't physical. They were in another realm. They were in they were light bodies, and they were in a light realm, they were in the astral realm. And it was almost like a dream where the things are happening, but there's not physicality. And so we were immortal. We were perfect. We had complete union with God. There was no ego. We had no fear. We didn't know about good, bad, the difference between either. And then in that state, before we ate of the fruit, Adam and Eve could look at anything in the garden. And if it wasn't good for them, like if it was a dangerous animal or a poisonous plant, they would have a very clear feeling that it was not good. Like their body would be repulsed by it. And there was no confusion, no fuzziness, there's no confusion. And so that went for anything, right? Anything that wasn't good for them, they knew there was nothing misleading or confusing about it. Now, after the fall, they had a harder time identifying things that were destructive and harmful and what was good. They were able to be confused. There was a veil drawn. The ego was introduced, and they felt for the first time fear. They did something that went against the Creator. And so think about, before that, we were like these pure souls and pure spirit. So like our spirit is the part of us that is pure light of the Creator coming through our channeled personality. And so that part of us, that spirit, is always in a perfected state, and it never gets changed or tarnished, or it's never lacking, or it's just eternal, right? So that part of us is the closest connection to divine and to the Holy Spirit, to the Creator. Our soul at this stage, after the fruit, before the eating of the fruit, our soul was in a perfect state, just like our spirit, and we were unified, mind, body, soul, spirit. We had 100% perfect memory of coming from the Creator and being one with the Creator and being face to face with the Creator, being able to see the Creator in all things and walking with the Creator through the garden and being in the presence of the Creator and being in that ultimate state of bliss and fulfillment with no sickness, no unpleasantness, even no pain, no suffering, no death. So everything was perfect. Then the devil, the snake, was like, don't you want to know? Don't you want to have knowledge? Don't you have wisdom? Don't you want to, take of this tree? And they were like, well, we're not supposed to eat that tree because they said that we would die if we eat from that tree. And he said, you're not going to die if you eat from this tree. They just don't want you to have all the knowledge that they do. And then you would be gods just like, the heavenly beings are. And so they got tempted, they ate the fruit, and then when they ate the fruit, they felt shame, and they felt fear that they had disobeyed. I'm skipping forward a little bit, but so that was the first moment, like immediately when they ate the fruit, they were like, oh, I know the difference between bad and good. Oh my God, what have we done? And so they felt exposed and they wanted to hide themselves and they tried to put on clothes and they were trying to cover themselves. And the Creator found him. He's like, why are you hiding? And why are you covering yourself up? They were like, well, because we're naked. And he's like, who told you that you were naked? And so the snake told us that we were naked. And so he finds out that they'd eaten the fruit. And basically, when they had that moment of realization and then they lied to the Creator and then they felt the shame of lying to the Creator, that was when they broke affinity with the light of the Creator. It was like in the audio, the ego came in and separated the soul from the spirit, because then the soul became defiled with the ego, almost like pouring oil into water. So then that separated the perfect water that was spirit, and this refuse was introduced, and it defiled the perfect consciousness with fear, with insecurity, with judgment, with projection, with expectation, all of those ways that the ego messes with us and keeps us spun up into tricks, right? Going through our patterns, continuing to fall, becoming reactive, becoming affected, so that we can't have affinity with the light. When we share the same consciousness as the Creator and we bear the same image as the Creator, we are invincible. We're back in that immortality. We are in flow. We are in protection. We begin healing. We begin experiencing miracles. But the moment that we remember our fear again and our vulnerability and our mortality, there it goes. We're separate again, because we start to become reactive. And we want to control, and then we're no longer sovereign, and we're no longer fearless, and we're no longer in a perfect state of peace. And so that separates us from the Creator, and we're back again, lost in the chaos, trying to find our bearings, trying to get our nervous system regulated. Oh my God. So every year we go through this process where we remember all of this myth, this collective human myth and truth, and we own it again. And so basically, everyone that incarnates on earth is given a soul, and that soul has density and negativity and refuse left over from when the sparks of light were stolen from Adam and Eve when they ate the fruit and they committed the sin, the mistake. And when they fell off path, right? And so we do teshuvah to correct that original sin. And the sin that we have, all the soul correction that we do, the things that we do to balance and bring our opposing forces within ourselves into balance and perfection again, we're basically correcting that original loss of sparks of light. So we're regaining those sparks of light and revealing those every time we break the negativity, those shells of negativity that concealed them. So everybody through every incarnation is given like a little bag of stuff to transform in this lifetime. And it dates back to it's part of our rent of coming here to the physical world, because had we not had this stuff to work off in the physical world, there would have been no physical world. The only thing that facilitated the necessity of the material world was the fall, and then working back, trying to recorrect that and shed that density to get back to that union with the Creator, that perfection. So this is the work of our soul. This is the purpose that we are here in this life. And this is the central focus of the High Holy Holidays. It is every year we're like, okay, how did we do? Did we do some of the correction? Are we putting the light back in the bank for all of us, right? Because each of us that does the work, it raises the frequency of the planet. It adds to the collective. It makes a difference. It starts increasing the light in the world. And the more that we are becoming the more that we transform that darkness, it's transformed forever. It is completely obliterated from the universe because it has been made into something new and good. It's been recycled. So that is coming up. So be ready, because this weekend is the new moon that starts this cycle for the month ahead. So deep month of reflection and self inventory. Here we have the androgyny card, which is referencing the bringing into balance of the masculine and feminine aspects within us, right? Bringing Adam and Eve back into perfection so that they can be in perfect union. So too, as within us, our exterior, our outer expression is our masculine energy, the way that we express ourselves, the way we express our soul and our essence. Our essence and our soul and our interior world, our intrinsic beingness, that's our feminine, and that's connected to our intuition and our connection to the Holy Spirit. So it's like we get the guidance from within through our feminine, and then we take action with our masculine energy on that guidance. And so we are doing the work to bring those forces within ourselves back into perfection and into balance this month. Remember, Virgo is like the perfect virgin vessel, right? The vessel is not defiled. And it's not about haven't had sex defiled virgin so much as it is about having that negativity seep into our consciousness when we used to be fearless, when we used to be pure, innocent, believing, trusting, goodly. And now we need to defend ourselves. We need to make sure we get ours. We need, we become competitive and lustful and fearful and exacting, so bringing all that back into balance. Now, the Queen of Pentacles here, it's like the way that the layout was, it looked like she's just looking back on all the ways, like when we're here in this month of Elul, it's like the Queen is us, and we're looking back, and this is the work that we're doing of bringing those parts of ourselves back into alignment and perfection. And it's like we're reflecting back on all the ways that the Satan this year and in years before has used certain things to trap us and trigger us and lure us into these patterns and cycles again and again and again. Self-defeatism, getting involved with the people that we know we shouldn't be involved with again and again, like not leaving that job that's making us miserable, like not following that dream that's been calling us, like, all the old tricks, the tricks of the ego, like the opponent gets in and it uses our ego. And the ego isn't inherently evil. It's just been traumatized, right? The ego has been put through it. And so we need to heal and reintegrate our ego, but not kill it completely. So the Queen of Pentacles is established in her security and her groundedness, and she has mastered to a certain degree the material world, right? This is a 3D queen. This is the physical, the pentacles. So this is like our human self here, and we are all, as humankind, the feminine, because we are all the vessel receiving the light of the Creator. So we look back, having bested the opponent in many ways, many times. We're not always falling, we're not always failing. Sometimes we catch the opponent, and sometimes we're able to pause, and sometimes we're able to practice that restriction and do things differently. And slowly but surely over time we heal and we change and we progress and we elevate. So really good. We're becoming more self-aware, and we're becoming more hip to the tricks, and we can see them coming from further away. And that's another thing that we do during this month. It's like we become more aware of where we fall, where that snake, that serpent gets us. And so during this reflection and during this work, we are, like we talked about yesterday and the day before in this week's energy forecast and our anchor message. And, I was talking about the Torah portions for the week. It's all about turning our darkness into light and our bitterness into sweet. And so what that means when it references our darkness into light, that's turning our thoughts from negativity into positivity, into optimism, into trusting the Creator, into having that certainty in God, that God is with us through every moment, even though we may not understand why things are happening the way they are. The Creator is with us. And when we believe in that truth, we can activate that power of God to move through the situation. But we need that certainty, that emunah, that faith beyond reason. It's many times there's no logical reason to believe and have faith, but we have to move beyond that. We have to transcend above logic. We don't ignore logic. We have reason and logic, but sometimes even though we have reason and logic, we're able to transcend above it out of faith. And so what this is doing, as we turn that bitterness into sweetness, and so the bitterness into sweetness is changing the way that we feel. So as we're changing the way we feel and we think, and we are becoming more like the Creator, it's like we get this fire and this fervor and this energy and strength and emboldenedness to be able to beat our drum of the fire of our convictions and go into the unknown and fight for what we believe in and pursue our purpose and our path and our relationship with the Creator and becoming the fullness of ourself. Right. And we march into the unknown. In the picture, in the image of today's reading, I loved that this character, I kind of made some shadow over that side of the image so that it was like he was walking into the darkness of the jungle headed right for the snake. So I thought that was really, really symbolic imagery. All right, you guys, that is all for tonight. Tomorrow we will be back together for our weekly romance oracle message. So until then, ciao.